The fact that we have such a diverse group of constituencies joining us today in Maine is a testament to the broad ramifications of financial regulatory reform. U.S. PIRG has been working to protect consumers and stabilize the economy. In the wake of the devastating financial crisis, we believe that strong action is necessary to achieve these goals. Our platform can be summarized in 3 basic points. First, we need to cover all the players by shining the light on the multi-trillion-dollar derivative market and making sure that we have basic oversight of groups like hedge funds. Second, we need to end too big to fail and make sure that no bank can cause systemic risk to the economy. And finally, and possibly most important to those here today, we know that consumers need an independent consumer financial cop. And we seek the passage of an independent consumer financial protection agency with 3-part authority. First would be to write rules. Second, to conduct examinations for compliance. And third, to enforce rules over all consumer financial products, whether purchased at banks or non-banks.
In theory, good regulation should help consumers, and that's not really what's happened now. I mean, since I've been in this position, when I first started, banks, insurance companies, and securities firms all had separate business lines, and they couldn't cross over to the other one. And that law was repealed. And also, each bank had to have headquarters in the state in which it was doing business. And they weren't really allowed to cross state lines to do business. And then that was repealed. So banking became very federalized. So my frustration right now as a consumer regulator is that all I can do for people who have problems with their credit cards is send them to a federal regulator in Washington whose sole purpose is to help the banks make money and not to advocate for consumers. And the Attorney General, Janet Mills, has supported the Consumer Financial Protection Agency legislation for 2 reasons. One, because it creates an independent regulator to listen to the consumers as independent of the bank regulation. And 2, because it attempts to reduce the current level of national bank preemption over state consumer protection laws. We believe that the extent of the preemption by national banks has really hurt the state's ability to protect their consumers.
Many of our members invested some of their money in the stock market and have seen their investment balances decrease to next to nothing, or they've been financially wiped out in that area. These wonderful, hardworking people, public retirees, whose work was to serve the citizens of Maine, don't want handouts. They want a fair return on their investments, banking without inflated fees and dwindling interest rates, credit card use without astronomical interest fees and other charges, and a full and equal Social Security benefit. President Obama and Congress have an opportunity of a lifetime to make changes that benefit Americans, ensure stimulation to the nation's economy for years to come, and to attach accountability to those in the financial community.
When I invest in stock, I expect to be taking a risk, and I expect to get some reasonably accurate information as to what those risks are. Enron went belly up because of things that had nothing to do with market conditions. It had to do with criminal fraud. And some of the perpetrators ended up behind bars, and I think that is a wonderful precedent that should be followed in more cases. I now own shares in a bank that has been accused of predatory lending. Now, the annual reports that I get from that bank say nothing about predatory lending, nothing about fancy derivatives, nothing about credit default swaps, whatever those are. They say business is going great, we're doing fine, we're coming back. And that may be true, but it's a fraudulent misrepresentation of the facts. It makes me a participant, unwitting, unwilling. It makes me an accessory to predatory lending. All of which I would hope some of the legislation that is pending at the federal level would hope to correct.
Small businesses like mine are counting on Congress to enact serious financial reform, to put the economy back on solid ground and make sure Wall Street can't pull the rug out from under us and then hold us at gunpoint for another big bank bailout.
Because of the financial meltdown, many small businesses are still having difficulty obtaining financing. And some have had existing loans called. Some, and I don't have the statistics, have gone out of business. We at CI, we're a small business lender. We see a steady stream of businesses seeking financing, but we don't have nearly the resources to address this. This is a question of the financial system. We're primarily a gap financer. So our communities, families, businesses will continue to be vulnerable unless federal legislation is passed with sweeping financial reforms. We absolutely think an independent consumer financial protection agency is critical.